Hi everybody, welcome back. Tony again with Shinsho Yoga. And for today's video, I'd like to talk about a concept that is called living life on a square. And it has to do with your level of health as you go throughout your years of life. So let's think of a graph, right? And the x-axis, your horizontal line, is going to be your age, right? And the y-axis is going to be your level of health. There's no number to go along with that. We'll just say 0 to 100, right? To where you're fully healthy and is 100 and 0 is you're dead, right? And of course, the x-axis is just how long you live, right? In our day and age, people live longer now, so let's say it's going to go out 80 to 100 years. How you want to live, right, for the most optimal life is have that graph be a square, meaning that here's your age going this way and here's your health going this way. You want your health to continue along this relatively straight line until it's time for you to depart this world, and then it ends. What you don't want it to do is go along that line and then slowly decline and decline and decline and be this ramp down until finally you're at the end. And by the time you've reached that point, you really have no quality of life anymore. You are no longer even, viable to do the things that you do. Living life on a square. Keeping our health as high as we can for as long as we can until it's time for us to depart this world. All of us depart this world. That's how it's designed. Although that we are living longer and longer, which does come with its own complications. There's a population, without getting deep into it in this video, is becoming to an unsustainable level, and everything on the planet is suffering for that. But that doesn't mean that you won't, even if that's happening, that you want to be unhealthy. In the times that you're living, you want to live life on a square, not on a ramp. Not that as we get older, we're hitting that middle age, that we just keep and getting older and considered retirement age, and then elderly, we just keep getting worse. We don't want that. We want to stay here, and then it's time to go. Now, that line across the top is never going to be straight, because as we age, there are things that are going to happen. It's just a natural process that the body begins to slow down and shut down, right? As they say, the moment you are born, you begin to die, and it's true, right? We reach our peak of our body growth by our 20s, and then from there, it's just a decline. But how fast of a decline is up to you, and what level that is up to you, right? Do you want to slowly ramp down and, end up to where you're having trouble walking, and then you're in a wheelchair, and then you're in a bed all the time, or you're taking this amount of medication, then you're having surgeries and more medication, and then you're having machines helping you come along? Or are you staying up here and staying healthy and active and independent and being able to live your life to the fullest possibility that it is at that level? Where do you want to be? Where do you choose to be? And that's entirely up to you if you want to live that way. I don't recommend the slope. I say you live your life on a square and then come down. Okay? How do we do that? Well, practices like yoga. Yoga is a lifelong practice. There are all different levels of yoga. If you are a younger person, right, and you're doing power yogas, right, and you figure that someday you're not going to be able to do power yoga anymore, that's okay. You don't have to, right? As you go along, there's different things that you can do, but you still need to continue your practice, right? But you have to have the mindset to live this way and not let your ego get in the way. Because when the ego gets in the way of our aging process, that's where we go downhill. I'll give an example from my own life. I've worn glasses the majority of my life. I had poor vision my whole life. When I had 2250, I was nearsighted, couldn't see far, but I read fine. 20 years ago, I had LASIK eye surgery, and that corrected the majority of it. And for years, I didn't have to wear glasses, which was a blessing because I really hated wearing glasses. Well, this year, well, actually last year, 2022, I had to start wearing reading glasses because I've reached that age in my life where I can't see things that are here without lots of light or feeling, some days eyes work better than others, but most of the time I'm going to need some type of reading glass. And that is something I actually had to get over with my ego because I'm like, oh my gosh, that means I'm an old man now, right? If the gray in the beard didn't give it away to begin with. But I'm an old man. I'm wearing reading glasses. And that was actually something I internally had to deal with because I kept going, no. I'm not going to go get, reading glasses. I just bought a set of El Cheapo readers from the pharmacy just so I could read again. But I couldn't. I had to stop and think and go, am I going to let my ego get in the way of being able to continue to lead the life that I want to live? And that's part of living that life on that square, right? Me going, okay, right, well, I want to still continue to be able to read and read. I like to read books. I have to work and on a computer. I have to edit videos, right? Can't do that without them. And I can't be bullheaded and go, no, I'm not going to do that. So as we age, we have to change what we do along with that for our body. When I was a younger man, right, I used to do a lot of lifting in the gym. And then there was a point in my life where I was very serious about bodybuilding, right? Not to become like a power lifter or anything like that, but I really was, I'm a relatively big guy, 6'2", 200 plus pounds. So I'm like, I want to get to be like, a big, strong guy. It never really has worked out in my favor. I got to some pretty good points with it, but it didn't help my joints or anything like that. And I finally decided to say that's not the way to go. And I focused more on things like this, especially as I aged. I got to doing yoga and more swimming and surfing, right? Things that were more geared towards lengthening the muscle than shortening the muscle. But part of me had to deal with that also because I said, well, no, I have always been going to the gym and I should go to the gym and really pump. Why? I'm not at that age anymore, right? Should you be healthy? Yes. Should you be in shape? Yes. Lean is much more healthier than bulk. Long muscles is much better than short contracted muscles. But we all have our mindsets, right, and believe certain things, and that's generally what will lead to our demise. If we want to live our life on that square, right, maintaining our health as long as we can, and then when it comes time for us again to depart, okay, we go peacefully, versus living on this downward slide, right, we have to adapt as we age. I've watched people in my life now, because I'm a middle-aged man now, and I have people in my life that are elderly who have lost their power, for lack of a better way to say it, and they become very argumentative, very difficult to deal with, and some of the decisions they make are just they're unhealthy, right? And they're obstinate about it. That comes from not adapting as we go along. They keep doing it the way they always did it. I know people my age now, right, who didn't have problems with illness when they were younger. I've mentioned in other videos before, I believe. I grew up a sick kid, so I've dealt with illnesses and challenges physically my whole life. So I'm have a good understanding of adapting because I've had to. I know people that never had to adapt in their life physically, and now they're middle-aged and their bodies don't perform the way they do. And they just keep going at it even harder and harder and harder. They're not working smarter, they're working harder. Well, I used to do this, that's why I'm going to do this. You're going to get to a point where that will run out and it won't work anymore. And that's where these slides start, right? Doesn't work anymore, well, then we'll take this medication. That doesn't work anymore, we'll get that surgery. And you start to slide down. We have to adapt as we age, right? As we get older, to whatever we're doing to be the maximum amount of health that we can, right, for where we are, right? So we can maintain that square, right? Living the most healthy life that we can until, again, it is time for us to go, versus just keep trying to do it the same way over and over and over, expecting a different result, right? And do this downward slide. So my recommendation to you is look at your life, especially if you're aging now, if you're reaching that middle age or even older, younger, pay attention to it. And pay attention to where you need to make adjustments in your life to keep your maximum amount of health that you can at that time for where your body is, versus just going at it the same way you always did and hoping for a different result. You have to change as your body changes. You have to change as your times change. You have to change as the mind changes. You have to adapt to it if you want to live that way. So that's all I have for this week. I appreciate you tuning in. And as always, just breathe, follow your breath, let the thoughts arise, pass by, and return to the breath. Thanks again for watching. Namaste.